Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Hello. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. My name is Hollis Taylor, and I'm one of your astrologers here at Rainbow Soul. And I am a professional astrologer. You can arrange readings with me at my website, which is in the description, divineandrogen.com. And, I do birth natal chart readings, and my sort of unique thing that I do is death astrology readings, which is not to predict your death. I think that's weird. I actually think that after a person dies, I do a death chart for them, and that helps you more deeply understand the impact of their death, helping you with grief, and hopefully helping you to heal and head in the right direction. It's very helpful for people that have lost somebody.
Right. I quite agree, and answers the hard questions that mediumship combined with astrology is uniquely capable of pointing to certain things. Hi, everybody. I'm Bright Hawk. You can always learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com. I'm an artist, an astrologer, a musician, storyteller, and always delighted to be here. And we say thanks to our friend Lacrosse, who couldn't be with us this time, but we always appreciate their contributions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry he can't be here with us. It's just that we're trying to get a lot of recording done before we leave for our trip. So we are about to leave for the UK. So watch out for if you're on our pages for stories, videos, and images from a travel blog that I've sort of breathed a little fresh air into, nomadic vibrations. So you'll probably see it come up if you follow Rainbow Soul or Bright Hawk or Divine Androgen. You'll find us. So watch out for those updates if you want to see us visit the sacred sites in the UK and hear about our stories. Right now, I'm going to suggest that you take a moment to breathe. Take a minute to become present in your body. And as your body begins to relax and you come into the here and now, take deep breaths. And imagine yourself taking a stroll outside in the night sky with the stars going as far as you can see. They seem to go on forever and ever. The universe's view of the earth is so broad, so wide, that we can barely wrap our human brain around that. And as your human brain takes in the massiveness of the universe above you, as you take a deep breath, a planet comes soaring out of the sky from seems to be going backwards, but it's very fast. And that planet is Mercury. Mercury is a messenger of spirit. helping us to hear the messages of wherever it is in our chart. And as it zooms backwards, it reminds you that there might still be another part of the message it hasn't delivered quite yet. It might have another piece of the message to deliver that it already delivered somewhere in July, late July. You got a message, and now it's delivering another one related to that. It's just gonna help you understand what's best. Help you to have a different perspective, a different view, and maybe see things slightly differently. And as it delivers that message and zooms back up into the sky, you realize that message could be a bit of a surprise. As surprising as that Mercury was coming out of the sky. And as fast as it came will be as fast as it goes. And as you take a deep breath, no doubt, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. As you come back into your present body, into the here and now, with your feet on the floor. In your body, I encourage you to move your feet and your toes and your hands. And open your eyes. And come back into the here and now. Well done, Bright Hawk. Well done. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. So we're going to get into our this week's file into our screen share here. Here we go. There we go. And what I want to start with, now this is from the 19th to the 25th, as you can see there. And on the 19th, I think it actually happens the day before, and I may have kind of mentioned it in the last broadcast, but Mercury, when it was passing over its shadow in Leo, it squared Saturn right about the time actually that my son fell out actually. So I've looked at these dates because I definitely recommended that he take all precautions on these days. And so Mercury is going backwards now over that same spot. This is what we call the shadow, right? So like Mercury passes over a spot, a space or an area of the sky before it actually goes backwards. And then it goes backwards and now it's passing over that again. And when Mercury goes retrograde over that, it may have a different message, or it may have something that needs to be said or understood. And so, or a different understanding, a different view of what happened. And so just be prepared to just stay open-minded. It doesn't, I mean, yes, it could deliver an action because it's square Uranus. And that's kind of the part that I'm pointing at is Mercury square Uranus. And Uranus is direct and it's in a trine to Pluto. So I don't like, I'm not really saying like anyone's going to just like my son, like, I don't think he's going to die or anything like that. But I think that, you know, if there's anything, if you had any kind of accidents or anything like my son did, when Mercury went over that shadow period, I'm just telling him to take all the precautions, right? So just be careful. A surprise could come up between the 18th and I think it's like the 20th, 21st. So you just want to kind of be careful over those couple of days, take all of your precautions, or you know, review. You might need to review something you did or said back in like mid to late July. It was like July 17th or something like that. July 18th, somewhere in there. And so as Mercury goes backwards over that spot and squares Uranus again, it could just bring another surprising piece to the story that maybe you haven't been aware of until now. Okay. And that's honestly, other than Jupiter being in a square, Jupiter and Mars being in a square to Saturn. Now Mars is going to move out of there pretty quick, probably this week. But Jupiter's going to stay in that square because Jupiter moves way slower, and they're actually in a perfect square on the 19th. So I talked a lot about the Jupiter square last week. So you can definitely go back and just listen to that because it does apply for several weeks now. Jupiter in squares to Saturn. Jupiter's in Gemini, so you should pay attention to where Gemini is in your chart, and it's in a square to Saturn, which is in Pisces, which is also retrograde. So you just want to pay attention to, you know, and Jupiter's involved. So it's probably going to turn out good in the end. It's probably going to be a positive thing in the end. So that's kind of like the great thing of it. The great part of it is that it's going to be good. And Jupiter is also in a square, perfect square on this day to Venus in Virgo. So there's a lot going on, and it is forming a T square because Venus is across the sky from Saturn, which is a T square pointing at Jupiter. But so I just feel like whatever goes wrong, whatever happens, it could be about money, it could be about relationships. And with Saturn, it's probably about the system or something about the system that could kind of get in your way or delay things. But in the end, it will be good for you. So just try to remember that if something does kind of get a little hung up there.
Yeah, because you might be surprised about how you feel. With the Aquarius full moon squaring Uranus, the sun, of course, sun and Mercury, they're a degree apart. And when the sun is like that, we call that Cassini. When it's 1 degree, Mercury's 1 degree from the sun's, we call that Cassini. And it's just to acknowledge the potency and the power of the sun and anything next to it. So a lot of square energy to Uranus and Saturn for that matter. So that always makes anyone who reads astrology a little, say, nervous because Uranus is all about the unpredictable. Oh my God, I didn't see that coming. There goes my whatever. And I agree with Hollis. It usually brings for the higher good. And Uranus is still part of that minor trine that's been going on all month. So that's a good thing with Neptune and Pluto. That's like a long-term play this month, that minor trine. But man, squares to Uranus, yeah, it might be a challenge. It might be a surprise a minute. It might be, wow, a turn, a turn of events, turn of of things. I don't want to say fortunes, but Venus square Mars, Jupiter. It could be.
Right. Exactly.
Could be a change of fortunes. I don't know. So, but the thing that I find interesting and fascinating is that this is full moon energy, right, on the 19th. And at the same time, you have a void of course moon, which is 12:26 Mountain Time to 4:51.
Oh yeah, I
So
think we
it's
were
one of
listening to
those.
Rick Levine talk about this, and you
Yeah.
were like, "But there's a void moon."
Yeah, so you can talk a lot about the intensity, but you can also acknowledge that during the middle of the day, and do check for your time zone, there's a pretty substantial void of course moon, which means, you know, things may feel intense depending on where you are before or after this void of course moon, but during it, it should actually be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the void of course moon as the exhale. You know, it's the opportunity for the moon to go, okay, so I'm leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. I'm leaving Aquarius and I'm going into Pisces. I'm leaving Pisces and then I go to Aries. You know, it's whatever that transition is, that's where the void is. So in this case, of course, it's Aquarius to Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you're going from an air sign and a thinker to Pisces, the ocean of emotion and very deep feeling. So it's very interesting. Yeah, it'll probably be intense when the moon finishes that exhale, so to speak. So I find it to be a fascinating Monday. And when the moon comes out of that void, of course, on Monday night into Pisces, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Because Mercury still will be in that square to Uranus, but Mercury is moving away from the sun, which should reduce the intensity or start to find some resolution or have some answers about what did happen in July. That's usually what happens with Mercury retrogrades, is they kind of go over a shadow period and they make you aware of something, or something happens just before Mercury retrograde. Your computer dies, your car dies, or something else happens. And then as Mercury turns around and goes back over that shadow period, it just finishes telling its story. It's almost like, by the way, you didn't get the whole story. Here's the rest of the story. And that's pretty much what needs to be done, and that's pretty much what's going to be happening. And so that will continue to happen over the next couple of days, from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, definitely into Tuesday. And at this point, Venus, which is money, will be opposite Saturn, which is about which is money, relationships. Venus is about the things we love, and it's in an opposition to Saturn. So and there could be some things about the system, it could be things about money and things like that could become quite difficult. Okay, it could just be challenging, and it will be one way or the other. But hopefully you'll be able to navigate through it, because Mercury is retrograde. Now, it makes me think about what was happening. Of course, I was very focused on my son, but what was happening during that time, which makes me go back to, wait a minute, isn't that when the whole world shut down? And right before Biden came out and said that he wasn't going to be running for president anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so those two things happened. So it makes me go, okay, are we going to have that again? Okay, we're traveling. We might need to.
Well, and that was the other thing that happened during that period, was that worldwide computer glitch software,
it stopped all the airplanes.
Stopped banks, hospitals, flights. Yeah, so I'm really crossing fingers and saying prayers and grateful we're not traveling on this day. All right. No, we're a week later.
We're actually, we're a week later. So we'll be
Okay.
traveling, but we'll be in the
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah.
So we might want to just be aware of that and maybe make sure we have some cash in our pockets.
Yeah.
Um,
Good point.
that's all.
Yeah.
And so just take some basic precautions if you're traveling like we are. If you're going on vacay, make sure you have a little cash with you in case the system takes a dip again and we learn the other half of that story, because I'm not even sure we'd learned the whole story yet.
Yeah.
And
right.
so I wouldn't be surprised if Mercury had more of that story to take. So I'm giving you a heads up there. There's your heads up. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to make sure I have I'm going to make sure that I have cash in my pocket. I do see the yod, which is pointing at the sun and Mercury. So it almost feels like it's meant to happen. It's pulling from Pluto and Aquarius, which is very much about AI. And now I'm thinking, oh, my AI 0 degrees, which is like sort of baby. Like, did we let AI go too far? And it's going to be retrograde in Aquarius. So it feels like it could easily go wrong. So it's probably going to have something to do with computers also, because Neptune is in Pisces. So, I mean, in your personal life, it will be hard to say what it is. It'll depend on where like the sun and Mercury are. Where is Leo in your chart? But it definitely could kind of screw with things like that. So, just be prepared. Like I said, go maybe withdraw some cash, have some cash in your pocket. You might need it for a couple of days or whatever. If you're traveling on an airplane or trains and stuff, you might want to be paying attention. That's all. And what else happened to your personal life during those days? There could be more to the story. Mercury's probably going to bring more to the story.
Well, and of course, we have the relationship conversation happening because the moon is conjunct Saturn, opposite Venus in a T square. So the mediator of the conversation with Venus is Jupiter and Mars, mostly Jupiter. So that feels kind of big in the relationship sector. Maybe somebody feels differently about something than you feel about something. And Saturn could be work.
Could be the system.
Yeah.
Somehow getting in your way. Something about the system or even your personal system.
Yeah. And with Jupiter involved, I'd just be careful about not going too far. Jupiter,
Yeah, not overdoing anything. Be sure Jupiter is still kind of close to Mars, so all of this week you'll need to hold your temper. You'll need to just kind of sit on it a little bit and try not to go flying off the handle. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's good advice.
Just because Jupiter's pretty much on top of, they're moving away. You can see Mars is now at 21 degrees. Jupiter's staying at 17, which is great. Mars will move on and hopefully move out of Gemini soon. And every time Mars is in Gemini, it makes me anxious. So probably because my Mars is in Gemini and I'm like, oh, get away from there. So the T squares will continue, but you can see that there's some trines. So by Wednesday, I think we're going to start seeing some resolution, especially since Mercury in itself comes into a sextile with Mars. I think that actually not quite the day before, huh? Okay. Because Mars and Mercury are kind of doing this towards each other. They're kind of coming near each other. So I think after Wednesday on, it will start to get better because Mercury and Mars are going to start moving near each other. But it will create that sextile for a few days, which should resolve whatever was going on. And with Mercury, like I said, Jupiter is involved here, and Jupiter is a benefit planet, benefic planet. I always remember it as benefit, meaning it usually brings some sort of benefit. It's supposed to, so that's how you can remember it. In traditional astrology, they would call it benefic. Okay, but it just basically means that it brings benefit. Okay, that it's a blessing, that it's good luck. And Jupiter is particularly good luck, regardless of where it is. I mean, when it's retrograde, there might be a slowdown of that, maybe, or a different way that the luck comes in. But right now, it's direct and it's in Gemini. And yes, it's part of these T squares, but for the most part, it's with us. Okay. And since it's in that T square with Venus and Virgo, and in with Saturn down in um Pisces, our lights keep blinking. I don't know if you can see that. Sounds like our electricity is sort of blinking right now. Um, with Saturn and Venus in opposition like that, it tells me about something about system and money, or the system and relationships. That's just what it comes back to every time. Every time I try to tap into that. So I'm like, okay, make sure you have some cash on it. Okay. All right. So
And we have a void of course moon
nice.
just before 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
Mountain
time to 5 o'clock, basically. And so it's just an hour. Sometimes they're only 15 minutes. Good time to take a breather, stop, get ready for dinner, maybe go for a walk, do some self-care, whatever floats your boat. And of course, now the moon has joined the minor trine with Pluto and Uranus, and it's leaving Saturn and conjuncting Neptune, and then the North Node after that.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Will it be moving into, okay, so it'll move into Aries overnight. That's the void, right?
Right.
That's the void. And it will move on on August 22nd. At that point, the nice thing is the sun has moved into Virgo away from Mercury. Okay. So I feel like when Mercury is going retrograde away from the sun and the sun is moving direct into Virgo, the energy is going to shift by the 22nd, which is Thursday. It's going to really start to feel like things are getting better, although you still have that square with Venus opposite Saturn and Venus opposite Neptune, and they're both in a square to Mars and Jupiter up in Gemini, which Gemini tends to rule the internet. So just saying. So like hacker or something. That's what it makes me think. But there's trines here. There's minor trines, and I feel like by this point it will have resolved. So, but at this point also we'll probably like sort of feel like a, oh Jesus, okay. Whew. Because Virgo tends to be more grounded. Sun in Virgo tends to be way more grounded.
Well, and when I see yods in the chart, it's just one of those, just let go and go with the flow, because that's what a yod is. It's a finger of God. It's a destiny line. It's
nothing you can do about it.
Not a lot you can do about it. So better to find gratitude in all things than bitch about how they're not going according to your idea. And that's when it's great to go back to the saying, no doubt the universe is unfolding just exactly the way it should. It's just that simple.
Yep.
And on this day, on August 22nd, there's like the moon has almost no aspects besides conjuncting the North Node, and then obviously it's opposite the South Node. But that's it. That's it.
Great.
So
finding yourself maybe doing some rather independent work on Thursday. And
we forgot to say on the day before, happy birthday, Virgos.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Virgos. That's me. So happy birthday to all the other Virgos. And the sun will continue to move deeper into Virgo, which feels good to me. The yod will sort of get mixed up now. The yod sort of breaks apart, which is great. We still have those minor trines going on. And we do have an opposition to Venus. Venus is still in opposition to Neptune and Saturn. So again, that's relationships. Neptune is sometimes illusions, and often belief systems. It is retrograde, so you could find that something you believed about your partner is no longer true, or something you believed about even yourself is no longer true, or something like that. So you could have some belief, you could get your bubble busted. Let's put it that way.
Or you could be enlightened.
Yeah, you could be enlightened. When I say your bubble busted, it just means that you believed this and somebody shows you a different way.
Yeah. So.
And so yeah, so the yacht is still pointing at the sun, but I feel at this point it's starting to kind of move away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And the trines are still there. Still feel like it's pretty pleasant. And do we have a void moon?
Yeah, again, already. Doesn't it seem like it happens so fast? It seems pretty much every other day. But anyway, the void moon will happen right before so we're in an Aries moon, which, by the way, when the moon is in Aries, Aries is ruled by Mars. And so the moon is answering to Mars in Leo. I mean, Mars in Gemini, pardon me. So now the moon is conjunct Chiron, and of course, Chiron is the wounded healer. So they're in Aries. What are you doing about taking action around your healing? And then now it enters into a trine with the sun and Mercury, which is very nice. Might be easier to have that conversation now. And square Pluto. So the void happens in the morning. Oh, this is the void that happens almost all day. I almost forgot about this. It starts at 6:44 a.m. in the morning, Mountain Time, and it goes until 6 p.m.
Nice.
August 23rd. So great day to take the day and do all those things we've talked about. Void of course moons are good for self-care, take a break. What a void of course moon is not good for is taking action, launching something, doing something where you're trying to have
don't do that on Friday.
Energy.
Do that earlier on Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. Take advantage of a void of course moon and its lack of drama.
Right, exactly.
You know, where it's just chill. What's fits the menu for that. So I think we told you many broadcasts ago, we traveled on a void of course moon and it was great.
Beautiful.
And when it started coming out of the void of course, you could feel it. It was wild. I was like, oh my God. I looked at my watch and I was like, whoa.
Wow.
So,
well, on Saturday, the 24th, I feel like we get a beautiful kite and a grand trine. So whatever was supposed to happen will be some good things on Saturday. It will be a really great day. Lots of great things could happen. Could be very surprising as well, especially with Pluto and Uranus involved in that. And it's all in, it's actually in Earth. So even though Aquarius is air, it's because Pluto is just 1 degree out of Capricorn. So that is manifestations, that is good things. It does also form a kite that is pointing at Neptune and Pisces. And, you know, that's good. You know, that's like, wow, okay, now I've got this.
mm-hmm.
Just as, you know, just as things start to unfold and that Mercury starts to slow down, because it's going to start to slow down to go direct at some point here in I think it's another week. So,
right.
Yeah. So, but it will start to, you know, there's still lots of trines on this day. I feel like this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday are going to probably be really good.
Yeah. This makes that weekend look especially lovely.
Right. And with another grand trine forming, because the moon joins in, I feel like Saturday and Sunday are a real blessing. Lots of manifestation on that day. You could feel really grounded, really connected to the earth. And you probably are going to really have some great days and really feel like you're moving forward from what you've been through in this Mercury retrograde. It feels like it's going to start letting go. And I think that's really as Mercury goes, you know.
Yeah, and this one feels like the moon conjuncting Uranus. I'm willing to be delightfully surprised. with
Yeah,
that trine, it really feels like delightfully surprised stuff. And I'm delighted because I think we're going to be in London on that day.
we are.
So the energy looks great for that. I'm so relieved.
Yeah, me too, because
Because
cities aren't always our places to be somebody.
yeah,
So
we're doing most of our touring of England out in the sacred sites. And
yeah,
so one day in the city, I'm glad to know the energy's looking beautiful.
yeah.
So
Yeah, so
yeah, so it should be a great week.
yeah, it should be really a great week. Now let me pull that in.
And let us know how it goes for you. Have you been playing with the Void of Course moons now that we've been describing how to use them? Have any of you found that, oh, I have had it has made a difference, knowing about it? I'd love to know because I've been playing with it this last year, and it takes some noticing. It takes some time to notice it, but once you start
Yeah, because
noticing
it's
it's
drama
like,
free for that time.
yeah, it's the chill time. It's like, oh, I like these void moments. This is nice.
Right.
So
Exactly.
good to know. Good to know. There's so many things in astrology that help us, live our life better, do it in a better way where you feel like you're still in the driver's seat instead of being at the whims and mercies of Uranus or Pluto, transformation.
All right. And so what we're doing here is I pulled 3 cards of the Love is Love deck to just see how the tarot speaks to us this week. And the first thing here, this is about mental health. This is the 9 of Cups. This is very much about dealing with your emotions, handling your emotions to the best of your ability, dealing with your cycle, even because you can see here each one of those cups has a moon on it. So it is in relation to your own personal cycles, even if you don't bleed or whatever. There might be other cycles that you go through. So this is all the cycles that you experience and dealing with that. This is the shadow work card, and this is in relation to the past. So have you done your this is spirit reminding you that you've done your shadow work, okay? Because as you go forward, you should go confidently with the Queen of Pentacles and know that you've got this. You've prepared appropriately. You have all your resources in check. You did all the things. You checked all the boxes. And you just have to trust that you did that. And that's really what this is about. And that's kind of what I said is that, and it's kind of what Bright Hawk said is like, it's not a whole lot you can do about a yacht. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But in the meantime, you've checked all your boxes. You've done all the things you were supposed to do, and you're prepared. That's what this is about. And going forward, this is actually the Wheel of Fortune, which is a great card. It's all very black and white because I think that sometimes we tend to judge things good or bad. And that's exactly what this is to remind you of, that there's not always a clear good or bad. And that sometimes some things are good or seem good, but they could have things but not behind it. Now, most of the time in most decks, Wheel of Fortune means woohoo, good luck, great things are happening. But in this deck, I always feel like it's also a reflection of how we judge things and how we see things and what our perspective is. And maybe being willing, I'd rather be delightfully surprised than always counting all the crap that happened. Like Bright Hawk says, wouldn't you rather count your blessings than count your problems? And so the answer for me is yes. This is the Wheel of Fortune. And so I'm pretty sure that's what this card is all about. It's about celebrating what's good. Celebrate your wins. Celebrate your wins. This is a reminder to celebrate your wins and maybe count your blessings instead of your problems. It probably leads you to a better place.
Indeed. That's a great reading. And I haven't seen that card in this deck.
Oh, you haven't seen the Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah, the first two are very familiar, but that one's like, you know what? I'm not sure I've seen that before. So that's very cool. All right. Well, I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing and liking and sharing and commenting. And we wish you all the very best. from Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.